all life. I'm sorry. Everyone knows, I was having a little slip back into reality there. I want to be politically correct. Whoa. When the UN says, like the Vatican said 500 years ago, that the Earth was still the center of the universe when it was proven by Galileo that it wasn't, they were reasonable. It's good to have a bunch of old men that knew nothing about science telling a scientist he was wrong. And it's good to have the UN politically vote that the sun doesn't affect climate. I mean, that's common sense, folks. The sun does not affect climate. We have the 4 seasons because there are hundreds of little magic fairies that fly around the earth creating light. And when they go to sleep, that's night. When the fairies wake up, that is causing the sun to shine. I mean, the light to be there. Excuse me. I was being extremist again. And so totally reasonable that humans are evil and bad. We should all pay carbon taxes to Nate Rothschild and Al Gore and Bill Clinton immediately, because after all, they're trying to save us. And they also were talking about, you know, what's actually happening in Australia and Europe, huge taxes on all farm animals, sheep, cows, chickens, because they pass gas, methane gas, namely. And that's going to kill the earth because there weren't birds and bovine and sheep living in giant herds and flocks all over the planet previous to domestication. In fact, I've looked at actuaries on it. There were actually more bovine, water buffalo, yaks, you know, I mean, that whole class, that whole group, buffalo in North America, they didn't exist. And thank goodness if they did exist, that Al Gore would have gone in a time machine to tax them, because if he wouldn't have gotten a time machine thousands of years ago when there were all these forms of cows running around eating and passing gas with their multiple stomachs, we would be dead right now. Do you understand how deadly creatures on this planet passing gas is? It actually makes up our atmosphere, but it's evil. It's evil. Okay? So I just, again, I just can't believe how, thank God they're taxing cows. They're so evil. And by the way, plankton and bacteria let off gas. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. They're going to kill us. And trees put off oxygen, even more evil. I mean, with a straight face, they sit there and tell us carbon dioxide's evil, when they've done ice core studies back 200,000 years ago and found it to be 14 times higher 200,000 years ago, and that we're in an oxygen carbon dioxide starved level, and that our atmosphere is actually thinner than it was from the different ice core and mud samples they've gotten out of peat bogs. But again, the sun does not affect the climate. That's like saying these lights in here don't illuminate me for the camera. It's that ridiculous. But I am politically correct. And I think it's reasonable the royal family says you shouldn't have more than one child, and Ted Turner says it when they've got 4 or 5 children. I think that's reasonable. I'm sick of people that don't do what Al Gore says. Johnny in Colorado, another sicko. Go ahead, Johnny.
Hey, sir. It's an honor to talk to you.
Hold on. You don't think the sun affects the earth, do you?
Oh, I really think it does.
Oh, whoa, extremest. Oh, okay. Sir, did you just get out of a mental institution?
No, I did not. I learned that in elementary school, though.
Well, those were the old America. Those were people you were probably actually in an Al-Qaeda base. Did you go to school in Afghanistan?
No, right?
Only backwards Taliban would teach that. I'm sorry, extremist, climate denier. Go ahead. Go ahead, evil one.
I guess I'll start with that, yeah. Over the past week on the radio, I've been hearing about this new agenda, or this new radio ad, and it's called 350.org. And it's basically them talking about if carbon dioxide goes over 350 of the atmosphere.
No, she's like, we've had more disasters than ever. Everyone's in trouble. It's time to stop denying it and pay Al Gore all our money. Yes, I've seen it. We're going to play it in a moment. Go ahead.
They're saying, like, the world will end if it goes over 350. Like, all life on Earth will end.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if carbon dioxide was 14 times higher. I know. It's sir. If they're trying to save you right now, Nate Rothschild needs more yachts. He owns the carbon trading company you're going to pay. He only wants to save you.
Right. And then also I heard the cops in Colorado now are starting to have those license plate scanners.
That's good, yeah.
That really sucks.
But all over the country, they're banning free speech, too. Isn't that good? Soon they'll say it never existed. You'll be a conspiracy theorist if you ever said you had a right to own a gun. I'm serious.
Let's hope it doesn't get there.
What other extremism, Johnny, did you call in about?
Actually, I want to comment on that guy that was like, you need to do more. And then I think there's nothing more important, or one of the most important things that you should do is your social networking thing. Because Google just came out with the social networking, Google+, YouTube just came out with the social networking, and I really think if you make yours, people will jump on that. And
I know, it's a money issue. The IT folks we've got are always busy fixing old things, and we're trying to hire another person. It's all monetary, and I'd rather have a commercial-free show, but people need to buy the books, buy the videos, buy the T-shirts, because that's how we fund this whole thing. God bless you, Johnny. In fact, just for Johnny, here's the TV ad, the radio ad. Okay, we'll play it during the next segment. We'll go to another call right now. Let's go ahead and talk to John in New York, another person that probably thinks the sun is what heats the earth. These people are crazy. John, go ahead.
Oh, what a fool I am. I do believe it. I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
Alex, I just want to let people know Ron Paul's having a Ready, Ames, Fire money bomb today to help him build momentum for the August 13th Iowa straw poll. His website's ronpaul2012.com. And I think if he wins the early primaries, the mainstream media won't be able to marginalize him. What do you think?
I agree, and he's bigger than ever, and he's winning a lot of the big straw polls in places like New Hampshire. We need to 100% get behind Ron Paul.
He's halfway there. He's at 231 right now. He's trying to get 500,000.
But you see, if I say Ron Paul doesn't exist and laugh at you, are you a conspiracy theorist? Ron Paul doesn't exist.
Well, you had his brother on, so he exists.
No, but see, that's the level it's reached now. When the TSA grabs your genitals and you say don't do that, they then call you a conspiracy theorist. Now even saying I like Chevy better than Ford, if you have an opinion other than what they tell you, it doesn't exist. So the sun doesn't heat the earth. We never had free speech. Parents shouldn't be able to pack their kids' school lunches. You shouldn't be able to have a garden in your yard. And I'm not sure Ron Paul even exists.
Well, I've seen him, and I got to believe it.
Oh, sure. The New York Times just 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, said I was delusional and was at an imaginary Bilderberg group meeting in Virginia that Hillary and Obama were at. And I called the media and said, there's the Secret Service. They just drove in. The media laughed at me. And then the New York Times came out when they made the film about me, New World Order, and said that I was having a schizophrenic episode at a hotel, that the world elite were there. So see, I'm insane, you're insane, the sun doesn't heat the earth, you're evil. We'll come back with a video about how the earth's going to end if you don't pay Al Gore money. Okay, the main broadcast ends in 5 minutes, and I'm going to just do 5 minutes of the next hour as internet-only, Infowars.com audio stream, prisonplanet.tv, so I can get to all the callers, at least that have been holding the longest. Who's up next here, John? All right, so Dolan, Matthew, Kevin, JC. I'll get to those four at least. Sorry to the others. But I wanted to play this ad. We couldn't find the one we found last week where they really fear-mongered. But Ellen Page and another pea-brain, well-meaning, useful idiot, doesn't even know she's working for global Nazis, putting out, oh, my gosh, we've had droughts and tornadoes and volcanoes, and it's the carbon dioxide, help me. The earth has always had disasters. Pompeii in Rome, thousands of years ago, destroying whole cities. Now, there's also weather modification going on. They've declassified it is going on a geopolitical level, a global level. They call it, it's not terraforming because our planet's already alive. They call it geoengineering. And they've got Pentagon reports that are declassified that they're engaged in it. So there is a lot of weird stuff going on, but there's always weird stuff going on. The point is paying Al Gore money isn't going to save you. And the people running all this are a bunch of hypocrites. I mean, literally, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, who all funded Hitler, this is their eugenics movement, and they told us they would develop this plan more than 80 years ago, and they've done it. They're teaching you to hate yourselves. I've got a new video going up on Infowars.com the next 20 minutes that counters these people, titled Global Parasites Want the World to Themselves. Or is it Elite Parasites Want the World to Themselves? I forget the headline I gave due, but that'll be up at Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. But here is just one of the fear-mongering TV ads, and they got radio ads running everywhere. That global warming's real. Pay the Rothschilds the money. They want to save you. Here it is.
Solving the climate crisis is a great opportunity.
I thought it was warming.
Jobs, make our communities healthier.
Oh, jobs.
Protect our future generations and save the planet.
They admit it's post-industrial.
We're already seeing the impacts of climate change.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the floods this summer in Pakistan.
Oh, no.
Look at what happened in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh.
A clear cost of our dependency on dirty energy. I'm tired of waiting around and listening to politicians argue. They need to stop talking and start working.
I want to put eugenics into place.
Together we can show how it's done.
Yes.
This October 10th, join millions of people around the world for 10-10-10. Global Work Party.
Oh, look at the children.
On that day, people all over the world will be getting to work on climate solutions. For example, in Pakistan, a group of women are going to teach each other how to use solar stoves. Or in Japan, sumo wrestlers are going to bicycle to practice. I'd love to see that. We want to
that's
send
enough.
a
I can't
clear
handle it
message
anymore.
to our politicians.
They take all these things like turn your lights off tonight or conserve or solar stoves, things that sound reasonable, but the agenda is carbon taxes, 1 billion dead in the next decade conservatively in the third world. And let me give you a little news flash. They told the third world we're going to cut the funding of the West and give you the money. And when they finally got the treaty, 2 years ago at Copenhagen, it was right at double the taxes on the third world that they'd put on the West. This is a death sentence. This is to destroy industrialization of the third world that would actually handle people having, quote, too many children. Once you industrialize, on average, you have 1.5 children for every 2 adults. That's not even replacement rate. The West is dying, falling apart all over Europe, the U.S., Japan. They're not replacing their children, nobody to pay for the Social Security. This is the eugenics culture of death with lots of young, well-meaning actresses out there telling you how great it is, beating you over the head with it. And when soccer star David Beckham has a 4th child, they lecture us all day about how evil he is, and the very groups lecturing him have more kids than he does. They're greedy scum teaching you to hate yourself and turning the military-industrial complex against humanity. They make death and losing and civilization falling apart sexy. It's pure garbage. And I declare war on these filth, and you should as well. For the full radio audience, that's it for the transmission. See you back tomorrow live, 11 a.m. Central. I'm going to come back internet only, take some calls. Another little bonus 5 minutes. Wanted to take your calls. Sorry to get to you earlier. Dolan in Oklahoma, you're on the air. Welcome.
This is Dolan.
Yes, Dolan, welcome.
I want you to know that I'm not a slave. And I had this encounter about 15 years ago with this whippersnapper from Texas. I don't know who he is, some guy named Alex Jones, who completely has turned me around. I want to thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. It's good to be a whippersnapper. Now, are you an extremist that believe the sun affects the Earth's climate?
I believe the sun heats the Earth, and about 15 years ago, Alex, I was here in Oklahoma. I looked up at my blue sky, and all I seen was trails across the sky, and I thought, what in the is that?
They now admit the total weather manipulation globally. They just admit it, but it's not a big issue. It's just, yeah, we admit we're doing it. It's secret. Just enjoy it, and by the way, take your vaccines.
I don't take their vaccines. I don't take nothing they give me. But isn't it funny now that, Alex, what I've noticed, I'm looking at my sky today. I've looked at it for the last week. I haven't seen one of those things in the air. What did they do, ground all the airplanes?
I got to tell you, in the last year or so, even though they announced they were going to increase them in their, quote, geoengineering testing, the White House science czar said, I've seen less chemtrails generally, but then when they are doing them, they're more intense. And it's generally when a weather system's coming in, they fly in and block the weather system.
I've watched that. Alex, I called you for another reason. Did you see the article on Rand Paul in American Free Press, June 13th?
No, but I know the Southern Poverty Slime Center has come out and demonized him.
I tell you, this really hit me hard. It says here, Rand Paul ran afoul of the libertarian supporters recently when he stated on neoconservatives on Hannity's radio show that anyone in the United States who attends a controversial speech in this country should be arrested and deported. Not surprisingly, Hannity did not disagree with Rand's attack on Americans' First Amendment right to assemble and hear free speech.
Wait a minute. He might have been being sarcastic. I mean, that would be political suicide. I'll have to look into that. What was the headline on the article, and I'll look it up.
Page 8 of June 13th and 20th, American Free Press.
No, I know that, but what's the headline?
Rand Paul advocates deportation, prison for radical thinkers. That's on the headline of his little article.